let's practice making colors. The supplies you'll need are a water cup for rinsing your brush between colors, a paintbrush, a rag that you can get dirty, and a mixing palette, and I find that gloss magazines, mailers, or wax paper work. So let's start with the primary colors, which are yellow, blue, and red. You need to think about location. On this color wheel that I have here, there are 12 shapes, and so the primary colors are, there are 3 colors in between each primary if you look here. So I counted over. All right, secondary colors are made by mixing 2 primaries together. So in this case, orange is made by mixing my red and yellow. Now you might need to kind of go back and forth between getting a proper secondary color, meaning that you want something right in the middle. So you can see I've kind of had to tone it down a little bit. It was a little too red-orange, which works well though for a tertiary color. A tertiary is my secondary and primary. It means that it leans a little more yellow-orange or a little more red-orange. So you're going to mix these, and I like to kind of work in one color family so that I don't have to wash my brush in between. And I think it's helpful to label, so I put a P next to my primaries, S next to my secondaries, and a T next to my tertiaries. And I'm going to continue on, right? So now I'm moving on to my green, so my next secondary color is green here. And then I'm going to make my tertiaries, so a yellow-green and a kind of blue-green color here. It is really easy to get them too close to each other, so if you notice them looking too much like the same, right, there's not enough definition of color, you might need to go back and adjust a little bit. That's okay. And of course you can do this exercise with all kinds of materials. I'm using acrylic paint here. It could work with any paint or other mediums as well, as long as they can kind of blend and mix together. The goal is really to practice mixing. Even though, yes, you can buy these colors, it's important to understand how these colors are achieved, because ultimately you can make them with pretty much all your primaries. So I'm moving on to my last secondary color, which is purple, and then my tertiaries, my kind of purpley red and my blue purple. And then I'm going to finish up labeling these. And now we need to think about tints and shades. So I'm going to start with a tint. So first I just need to choose a color. You can of course do this for all colors. We're just going to practice it with one. So I chose purple. You can choose whatever you like. And a tint is created with a color plus white. And of course it's a change in value. So it could get really, really pale or really, really saturated. And then a shade is my color, my hue, plus black. And then finally we need to think about browns. Now browns really are just all 3 primary colors mixed together, and how much of one color over another changes the overall tone of a brown. So right now I have a very reddish brown because I have a red kind of leaning heavier here. I can also add black to change the shade of my brown, right? So that's going to change it. I'm going to add a little more yellow here. So I'm just playing around with how I achieve brown and just getting a few different variations of brown. If I add white, of course, it's going to make more of a tint of brown. So you should try a few different types of brown as well. So when you're all done, you should annotate, meaning adding definitions. What is a secondary? What is a tertiary? How do I get a tint? How do I get a shade? So that you have reference for later.